This is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. In today's 101.5 lesson, we're going to play with the linear plaid border maker cartridge. This is one that you may have seen a lot during the month of December because it came out towards the end of last year, and a lot of people were doing some really fun things with it. I just wanted to kind of show you how they were doing those fun things, and then also give you some other ideas and tips for different ways that you might use it. So I hope this is helpful for you. Let's check out my workspace and we'll get started. So I have the 4 different kinds of shimmer paper on my table right here. I have firecracker red, I have parakeet green, I have white shimmer, and I have gold shimmer. And we are going to work with the linear plaid border maker cartridge. This came out this past fall, and I'm so excited to try this with you because I have seen a little bit done with this, but not very much, and I feel like it's an underappreciated border maker cartridge at this point in time. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to set the green piece aside for a second. We'll get back to that one in a minute. I'm going to grab my trimmer and we're going to trim a couple things real quick before we punch anything. Okay, I'm going to take the gold, and I'm going to just put that one over there. I'm going to take the gold shimmer and I'm going to cut several strips that are just shy of the edge of my matte strip. So we all know that the edge of the gray matte strip right here is 1/4 of an inch away from our cutting line. So I don't want it to be exactly 1/4 of an inch. I want it to be just a hair shorter than 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to go all the way to the edge of the mat and then pull it back just a smidge. That's how accurate of a measure this is, ladies. It's going to drive some of you crazy, and I am sorry about that. But so just go to the edge of your matte strip and then pull it back till you can see the gray matte strip along the edge, and that's about right. And just try to make them all the same and you will be fine. And I'm just going to cut a few. You can see that this is not a full 12-inch piece. This is just going to be a quick sample of what we're going to do, and then you can complete it on your own. I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, I'm not going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to measure this because I didn't do it before. I'm going to do strips that are, sorry, I'm not seeing this quite right. Just shy of 1/2 an inch from the white. So we're going to go all the way to the beginning of the grid and then pull it back so we can see it roughly that same amount of space that we saw when we cut these. I'm going to do that again. And I'm only going to do 2 of the white ones for now. Okay, then I'm going to come in here and we're going to do some punching. Now, any of you who have ever made a frame with me know that usually I use my trimmer and I measure it out. Sometimes I put clips on to limit where my blades are going to go and that kind of thing. This is another way to do a frame, and I'm going to share it with you. This is a punched frame. I've done videos on this before, so you may have seen them, but I have not done one before with this particular border maker cartridge. So you fold your paper into a triangle. It doesn't need a hard crease in the middle, it just needs to be folded enough that it's going to stay without giving you too many problems, okay? Now we're going to take our border maker. We're going to take one of these edges. We're going to put it in the border maker and bring it all the way out to the edge of the paper guide, okay? And put the arm down to hold it steady. This does not work with cardstock, okay, but it will work with shimmer paper. Shimmer paper, I am starting in the wrong place, so let me grab another sheet because that's not going to work. Hold on. All right, so we're going to do this a slightly different way than what I had initially thought we were going to do, and so if this looks a little bit choppy in the editing process, it's not my editor's fault, it's mine, because I did it, it didn't go quite the way I had planned the first 2 times I tried this, so we're going to do this a third way, and I know this way will work. So load your paper into your holder, the red paper, red Firecracker Red Shimmer. Fold the guide back. Then we're going to take our punch, which is already loaded into the holder, and instead of punching at the very first notch or the very last notch, we're going to punch all the ones in between. So I'm going to punch here at number 2. I'm going to go 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to fold the guide back out, and we're going to turn our paper. You can turn it clockwise or counterclockwise, it doesn't really matter. Okay. And we're going to punch just that same way, and we're going to go all the way around the paper. The only exception to going all the way around the paper is if you want to do this for a 2-page spread. I would just do it on 3 sides and then do a second page and do it on 3 sides again. And then you'll have a more cohesive layout that way. But for my purposes right at this moment, I'm just going to make a single page for you so that you can see what that will look like. Okay? Alright, so now that we've punched all the way around, I'm just going to set that to the side, scoot all those guys to the side. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my precision point scissors, I'm going to grab my white pieces of paper, and these will fit right into these wider sections on the punch, so you can feed it through. But one thing that I did notice, and I'm going to recommend, is that you start feeding it in from underneath the page, so like that, and then poke it through here and feed it through a little bit more, and then poke it up here. Now, one thing's for sure, you're going to need to vary this through the design so that you get a nice, I'm sorry, I have to use my tweezers because my fingernails are not cutting it, so that you get a nice variety of cuts. Okay, so this I'm going to just bring to the very edge here, and then we're going to cut it off underneath. But when you do this the reverse way, you're going to need to to, so I'm just trimming that very close to the punched side. Then the next time you do it, you're going to feed it in from the top, or from the bottom. Feed it in from the bottom, going the opposite direction. Now when you do this, you're going to have it pop up and you're going to have a loose piece. Actually, I can just make it go right to the edge there. So just stop it when it gets right there to the edge. And then you'll come in here and trim it with your precision cut scissors. Okay, if you do it every other one like that, it creates a really cool design. But it is a little tedious, and you do have to kind of work with your paper. Whenever you weave it like this, it does take a little bit of time. So tweezers really help me to be able to guide my paper where I want it. And this side, it doesn't really matter where you cut it. You can cut it wherever you like. Just try to cut it as straight as you can, so that it's straight the next time you need to just leave the edge, if that makes sense. I'm trying to decide if I like that finish or if I want that to poke through. I think actually I want it to poke through just a little. And it'll be okay if it's a little bit beyond the edge of the punched area. Like that. Okay, so then I'm going to lift this up and trim it right against the edge again. Well, that didn't work as well as I wanted it to. This side of my scissors will cut closer. All right. So I'm going to do this all along the edge, and then I will come back and show you the next part. Alright, so then the next part of what I would recommend you do is use these gold pieces to go up and weave through these smaller areas here. And do it just the same way that you did the white ones. But go every other one. So I'm going to start underneath for this one, and then poke it through. So you can really create whatever pattern that you want. If you want, you could, if I wanted to, I could have started all of the gold from underneath and all of the white from on top, and then that would even create a different pattern going across here. So just to kind of play with it and decide which pattern you like best, and then be consistent, and it will be cool. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to do it all the way around. I'm not going to take the time to do it for you right this second. But what I am going to do is measure the square that we have created here. So this design punches almost a full inch in, and that's on both sides. So if we punched a 10-inch square, not punch, sorry, we're going to take our green shimmer paper that we've got, and we're going to cut it into a 10-inch square. And we're going to make this into a frame, and the frame is going to be a 1/2 inch wide. So I'm going to start my paper up here at the top, and we're going to start it at the 1.5 inch mark, and we're going to, there we go. We've got our cute little page, if you can imagine this design all the way around. Okay, I thought a little bit more about this, so I just wanted to add a little bit more to this video for you and give you some samples. So we already kind of showed you how I did this one, and I like this for several different reasons, and actually, honestly, I think I would use it for something besides just representing a plaid, because for some reason the way that I did this here with these particular colors reminds me of a building, and the windows in the building, and the different bricks in a building. So just to give you some, food for thought, different ideas of ways you can use this punch. And that, I thought, well, that would be so cool to make both sides look like a brick building. And then, you'd have to have the right photos for that to go with. But anyway, I digress. But as I was weaving this paper in, even though it was just for a short distance, I realized that my hands were really getting tired. And so if you have issues with your hands and you're thinking to yourself, there's no way that I could do this effect because it would make my hands too aggravated to do it, I thought I would give you some options of different ways that you could still achieve a woven effect using this plaid, linear plaid border maker. Okay, so first off, you could weave your own, and that's what I've done here. I've cut strips that are less than 1/8 inch wide this way. Okay, these strips actually are exactly 1/8 inch, and they are too wide to go into these slots. So that's why I'm saying make it just shy of 1/8 of an inch wide, and you'll be able to weave that with no problem. Get yourself a good pair of tweezers, and those will aid you and make it go much faster. You'll be much happier and less aggravated. Unless you have nice thin sharp nails and can grab that little piece of paper and pull it just a short distance. Okay, so a nice pair of tweezers, almost just shy of 1/8 of an inch wide strips of whatever color you want to weave long ways through this, and you'll get something akin to this effect. This is woven, and you can see the gold piece here is actually almost too thin, but the red piece fits just perfect, and the red piece is just shy of 1/8 of an inch, but the gold piece is much thinner. So there are gaps, and I don't like the gaps myself. You can kind of see the darkness there on the video. Okay, so I thought, well, how else could I achieve a similar type of a pattern without going to the trouble of pulling the paper through and the hassle of that? And so this is what I came up with. If you cut a piece of your colored paper that is 5/8 of an inch wide, and it doesn't matter how long it is because you're going to cut it into pieces. So 5/8 of an inch wide, and then you're going to cut this into lengths that are 3/4 of an inch long. And then this one is 1/4 of an inch wide, and honestly I would make it a little bit wider than that. I would go for 3/8 of an inch if you can. 3/8 of an inch on the more narrow one, but I used my 1/4 inch because I'd already cut that, and I didn't want to waste my paper. But so 3/4 of an inch for the narrow strip, 5/8 of an inch for the wider strip, and then what you do is you cut them into 3/4 inch lengths, and you adhere them to the back, just like that, in strips across the openings in the punch. Okay? So that's how I made this portion. This one up here is simply made with strips. You can see I cut a sample so that you could see it. This is a 1 inch, no, this is I'm sorry, I'm going to measure it because I don't remember, and it's not playing nice and letting me pick it up. There we go. All right, so this is 5/8 of an inch wide, and it's a white base. And then I cut a 1/4 inch strip of green that went straight down the center of the 5/8 of an inch wide white strip. Okay, and then all I did was I added my repositionable adhesive to the back side of my punched out area. So I added that to the back side of this base page, the red page. And then I took this strip, laid it flat on my table, and took my red piece and centered it over the green and pushed, and set it down and pushed it down. And that's all I did to create this one. Super easy, and you get a similar effect. In fact, I like this better than weaving paper through. I don't know why, but I just feel like this is a more true plaid pattern, and this one down here as well. But so depending on the type of plaid you're going for, I guess would sort of determine how you would want to do it. But these are a couple of options that will be less tedious for your fingers and your hands. Okay, I hope that's helpful to you, and I appreciate you tuning in and watching my videos. I'm excited to bring you more, and until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.